Hello, everybody. I am live for another live in the Winging It and Winding Up Wildly Successful business Facebook group. My body is not so well today. It's shifting and changing things. So if I sound not myself, it's because I'm not. So this live might not go for as long as it usually does. We'll just see. So I've called this live, what did I call this live? Trusting You in Business. So please let me know that you're here and where you're from. And there's 2 people live with us already. How does it get better? Hello, everybody. For those of you watching now and in the future, I'm so grateful for you all. It is only 2 weeks today until I fly out to Paris for the Talk to the Entity Summit and then Italy to facilitate classes. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be leaving Australia again, and how much fun can I have? So I'm just going to wait just a little bit longer, see if some more of you jump on. The sun's coming up here in Australia, so it was just like coming into the window. Kirsten, hi from Noosa. This is a different time to what I usually do it as well. So amazing. If you guys have any questions now or in the future, please feel free to pop them in the chat. There was 2 people that popped questions under the post that I did, so I will get to those as well. So it's really interesting, like this topic of trusting you in business is massive. I mean, just the topic of trusting you is so big because we often, if not always, give up trusting us for our mind, for control, to have predictability. And so, I mean, there's so many people in the world that are seeking, and I know before using these tools of access consciousness, I did a lot of personal development classes and courses to strengthen my intuition, thinking that I wasn't aware and I didn't know. And what I kind of love about these tools of access consciousness is really getting you to the place of knowing that you know and that you've always known. And the thing is, like, if you do not trust you in business, and if you do not trust you, period, your life cannot work. Like, you cannot actually create from the space of infinite possibilities that's actually available to you. So when we do doubt, we not only eliminate us from the equation, but we eliminate total possibility. And it's really interesting. I had all these classes scheduled for Roma, which is out in central Queensland. And what started to occur the last few weeks, and particularly the last week, is all these people that had registered started to cancel. And I've never had so many people cancel on classes that I've actually facilitated. And it was so interesting, like all the things that started coming up, like all the doubt that I started seeing like surface, and I started noticing. And it was this practice in the willingness to trust me that then actually gave me the awareness of what was required. And so the thing is, what we actually don't realize is not knowing is generally a choice we make to avoid being wrong or to be right. And so what I noticed coming up is with all of these people canceling the classes, I had this awareness that, okay, maybe I cancel the classes or maybe I shift and change things. And there was this period of time where I was like, it's so easy to like go into doubt because that is like our automatic pilot. That's like our automatic response system of like going to doubt, doubting what we know, pretending that we don't know. And there was this moment of, okay, do I actually desire to choose this? And what do I know here? And what is actually available to me here? And so what I started to recognize is all these places that we're not willing to know to avoid being wrong. So how many of you have actually given up your awareness so you can never be wrong? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy it and create it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pork, in shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. For those of you that are completely new here, that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information. But basically, it's this magic wand that clears the energy that's actually sticking us. So how does it get better? So the thing is, like, so many of us will give up our awareness because we don't want to be wrong. And so what I noticed myself doing is there was this period of time of, okay, I can cancel these classes. And then I went to, but what if that's the wrong choice? So, what unwillingness to be wrong have you guys made more valuable than total trust in you and total knowing? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all name shorts, boys, poverts, and beyonds. And how many of you actually trust the judgment you have of you more than you trust what you're actually capable of? And this is what I see so many people do. It's like they trust the judgment they have of themselves, that they're bad, that they're wrong, that they cannot create a business, that they don't know in business, that they just don't know, period, rather than actually trusting what you're actually capable of and what's actually available to you. And the thing is, what I started recognizing is in this period of time where I could so easily have gone to that automatic response of not trusting me, of doubting everything that I've ever known, of stopping myself having total knowing of what's actually available beyond this. I realized I wasn't actually willing to have things turn out far greater than what I imagined. And this is the thing, how many of you guys stop yourself from having the awareness without actually recognizing you're actually not willing to have it turn out far greater than you ever imagined possible? And the thing is, we so often give up total trust in us for control and predictability. And in that space of giving up total trust in us for control and for having a predictable life, we not only give up us, but we give up the greatest adventure that we can actually choose. And so everything that is, and everywhere you've given up total adventure, and everywhere you've given up you in order to never be wrong and always be right, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all name shorts, boys, poverts, and beyonds. If you guys have any questions, pop them in the comments too. I started noticing recently that when I've gone back and watched the live on my phone, I'm only actually seeing some comments on StreamYard that's coming up and not so many on my phone, which is really, I mean, the other way around, which is really interesting. So what would it be like if you were willing to have things turn out far greater than you actually ever imagined possible? And so what I started recognizing is when we have something actually occur for us in business, when people start canceling on classes, when clients don't show up, when we have this week of all these clients and then we have a week of no clients or 2 weeks of no clients, how much do we go straight to the judgment, the rightness and the wrongness of it, rather than actually, okay, what awareness or information am I actually missing here? What's required? And what I started noticing is, so this weekend I had a foundation class scheduled, and the next weekend I had a talk to the entities class. And what the host and I started getting the awareness of is that it was actually talk to the entities that really desired and required to be this weekend. And we only had that awareness 2 days ago. And it's really interesting because the two people that had registered for foundation also actually desired to do a talk to the entities class. And so when I kind of mentioned this to a few people, they kind of went into this freak out of like, how can you do that? How can you just change classes? But it was my willingness to go from, okay, I could choose to totally judge myself here and make myself wrong, which I did for a little bit, versus, okay, am I willing to have this turn out far greater than I actually ever imagined? So the other part of this that I wanted to mention with the trusting you piece is how many of you are not willing to trust yourself because you're looking for an answer and you've decided the answer is more real than your awareness? Most people are trying to find an answer in business, thinking that if they find the answer, that everything will actually finally work out with for them. So, for example, if people cancel classes, like if clients don't show up, if people aren't buying your products, how much do you go straight to then trying to look for the answer of what's going wrong rather than the awareness of what's actually required? And this is the thing, when you function from judgment, you cannot have trust. In order to have total trust in you in business, you have to go beyond judgment. Because when you're functioning from judgment, you're constantly looking for what's right and what's wrong about you. And when you're functioning from what's right and what's wrong in your business, you eliminate all possibility. You actually begin to destroy what's available to you. Someone says yes. So the thing is, like, is it actually true that you finding the answer will actually allow everything to work out? Or is it actually what kills total possibility? So, everywhere you're looking for the answer or for the predictable future in your business, rather than all possibility, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, or in shorts, boys, pivots, and beyonds. So, most people have the point of view in business like, tell me what to do so I don't actually have to receive. And this is what I noticed so much, and this is what I noticed I was functioning from as well. And I may have spoken to this in other lives that I've done, where how many of you guys are like, please, just someone outside of me tell me what to do, tell me what to choose, give me the answer. And how many of you are actually looking for the one answer or the one choice that's going to trump all of it and allow you to make millions of dollars for the rest of your life without having to have any more awareness and choose anything different? And welcome to humanoid reality. Like, that would be lovely. And also, how bored would you actually get with that? And the thing is, like, you've got to recognize, like, so many of us function from this space of tell me what to do so I don't actually have to receive. And the thing is, beyond that, is most people aren't actually willing to receive what they're actually capable of. So, how much trust have you actually eliminated so you don't have to receive what you're actually capable of? And you don't have to receive the contribution the universe desires to be for you. And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all names, shorts, boys, pivots, and beyonds. Someone says super bored in a week. Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, like, you have to recognize, like, anytime you guys are not willing to trust you, anytime you're looking outside of you for an answer, anytime you're wanting someone to tell you how to do it, you've already eliminated what you can actually receive in business. You've already eliminated the infinite possibilities that are actually available to you. And I know this is so annoying because I get it, because there's so many times that I'm still like, oh, please, like, someone just tell me what to do and choose here. However, I know as soon as I do that, I've eliminated like total receiving. I've eliminated like what's actually available beyond what I've actually ever considered before. Wait, are you saying we are capable? Yes. No, not capable. So cool. So I wanted to go to some of these questions as well. So one of the questions someone had written in was, I don't know if it fits the topic, but one of my main concerns is, how can I have a business if I don't have an idea? So how would I trust my business if I don't know what it is? So this like kind of fits the topic and kind of doesn't fit the topic. And I get maybe there's other lives that would contribute more to that, which may be actually creating with the entity of your business, which I either did last or the time before that. But what if it's not about trusting your business as opposed to what it is about trusting you? What trust would you have to cultivate within you to know exactly what desire to be created through you? Because this is the thing as well, like, I'd really recommend, I think it was Alessandra that wrote this question in. I'd really recommend you guys going to watch Creating with the Entity of Your Business live if you haven't already. But what I'd really suggest is like to ask that question, like, what trust would I have to cultivate within me to have total knowing with what desires to be created through me? Because if you knew that you weren't your business, and you knew that there was all these ideas and creations that actually desired to be created through you, how much trust would you have to have in you to actually listen to those whispers and follow those whispers? And Alessandra, if you're on, like, please feel free to like add anything else to that as well. And the second question that someone had written as well was, let me find it. I struggle to maintain trust when nothing seems to show up. Everything seems stuck, stagnant, though I keep asking a lot of questions. The word trust starts giving me an inner allergy then. So everywhere you guys have eliminated trust or choose to eliminate trust when things seem stuck, stagnant, and not working, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all name, shorts, boys, pivots, and beyonds. And what trust would you have to choose in that moment to have everything work out far greater than you ever imagined possible? My question to you guys was the same as the question at the start. Are you willing for things to turn out far greater than you actually ever imagined possible? And everything that is, and everywhere you're not willing to receive what's actually available and possible to you, and everything you're not willing to gain access to, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all name, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. So the thing is, like, if you do not trust you, you have to assume that every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every point of view is actually yours. And for those of you that haven't recognized, the world has changed dynamically. And I mean, for me, particularly, the last like week has been really uncomfortable in business. There's been so much stuff that's been shifting and changing and coming up. And I'm like, do I even have a business anymore? Like, what does it desire to be? And this is where I've noticed like how much more aware we've become and how much more we are functioning from other people's realities that we're not even cognitive of. When you do not cultivate that trust and knowing in your world, the only choice you have is to validate someone else's point of view. Because if you do not trust that most things that are showing up for you right now in business are not yours, and you buy everything you're aware of as yours, you're actually validating someone else's point of view and you're validating someone else's reality. So everywhere you do not trust you, you actually totally invalidate you. So everything that is times a gazillion, and everywhere you have made validating someone else's reality and someone else's point of view in business more real and true than knowing that you know, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all name, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. And the thing is, like, if you guys are buying any points of view that are occurring right now, or beliefs or conclusions as real, then you cannot receive what's actually available to you. And this is the thing to recognize, like, as soon as you conclude something, as soon as you go to this isn't working anymore, as soon as you eliminate the trust, as soon as you eliminate your awareness, you've literally created that as your fixed reality. As soon as you go, this isn't working, you've literally fixed that as your reality. And this is where, like, I noticed myself going, like, when I started noticing all these people cancel, like, I went to straight to, okay, this isn't working. Something in my business isn't working. Something is actually wrong. And then I noticed, like, my whole business and my whole world, like, contracting and becoming so small because I then fixed that as my reality. And so this is where, like, asking questions starts to open that space again and starts to open up what is actually available to you. So, does anyone have any questions that are on watching? You guys have been very quiet, or I'm just not getting very many comments. It's been quite the period of time, yes. And now more than ever is like really, truly like required to totally trust you in order to go beyond all limitation. So awesome. So let's talk about, yeah, you guys are so quiet. I'm like, is this thing on? Is this thing working? um, so I wanted to give you guys some tools to like along with what I've already mentioned, like more tools to actually begin to cultivate that trust in you. Because this is the thing, like cultivating trust in you is a practice in willingness. This is not something that changes overnight. And there's like lots of different things that you can begin to play with and tools you can play with to actually begin to cultivate that trust within you. And this is a really cool thing. Like when we talk about business, we're actually talking about every area of your life. So if you begin to trust you in business even more, you begin to trust you in relationships. You begin to trust you with your body. You begin to trust you with money. And that's what I really love about your business. Like any one of these lives, we could actually be like just replacing business with literally anything else that's actually going on. So I get stuck when clients aren't showing up, then think nothing is working. I don't know how to trust me. Can I receive my reality with my business with total ease? That's a really good question to ask. And with whoever's written, like, I don't know how to trust me, is that actually true? Is it true that you don't know how to trust you? Or is it more true that you're not willing to trust you in this moment? And the other comment, like, I get stuck when clients aren't showing up and think nothing is working. I kind of just like spoke to that. Again, as soon as you conclude that nothing is working, you've stuck that as your reality. So let me speak to number one, this is where I would begin with to start to begin to cultivate the trust in you, is to ask the question, what would it take to be willing to trust me? What would it take to be willing to cultivate total trust in me? Because the thing is, like, if you were willing, then what? What would you have to be willing to lose, and what would you have to be willing to gain access to? And what are you guys avoiding with never trusting you? And what are you defending with never trusting you? How many people's realities are you defending and validating through never cultivating trust within you? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all names, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. So this is the question that I play with a lot as well. Like, what would I have to be willing to lose, and what would I have to be willing to gain access to? Because if you have total trust in you, could you actually have a problem? If you had total trust in you, could you actually ever judge you again? Because how many of us use judgment over trust, over awareness? And this is the thing, like I mentioned, for you guys to actually have total trust in you, you're going to have to go beyond all judgment of you. Because within the space of trusting you, right and wrong does not exist. Good and bad does not exist. You know what's required next. And someone says, I haven't trusted me, so I don't know what that feels and looks like. Yeah, exactly. And so this is where I've mentioned in my other lives as well, start to play with like, hey, universe, show me what total trust within me looks like. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What would it be to have total trust in me? Because as I've mentioned, like, we don't have reference points what trusting ourselves actually looks like. Like, it's not something that we're empowered to choose growing up. We are constantly, what is made more real and true in this reality is actually like going outside of you to find the answer, going outside of you to have someone else validate what you know. How many of you are not willing to know that you know unless it's validated by another? And this is also like what sticks us so dynamically is everywhere we've decided that we will not have total trust in us unless it's validated. So everything that is, and everywhere you guys are not willing to have total trust in you unless someone else outside of you validates what you know. Will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all names, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. So ask, what would it take to be willing to have total trust in me? Number two, hey, universe, show me what total trust in me actually looks like. What would it be like to have total trust in me? The other thing is I noticed, like, with trusting you, like the light and heavy tool, which I guess most of you here are probably aware of, gives you more awareness of what a choice is going to create. And this tool can cultivate and contribute to you cultivating more trust in you. The thing is, if you can't get a sense of what's light and what's heavy, because I've spoken to a lot of people with like that are confused by this light and heavy tool, or they say that it doesn't work. What I notice, the times that I can't get a sense of what's light and heavy, I've already actually decided what I want it to be. And so what I noticed with these classes in Roma, with like the choice to like cancel them, not cancel them, change them around, is nothing was really light and nothing was really heavy. And then I realized like, oh wow, how much have I already decided what I want this to be? So the thing is, like, the light and heavy tool is more so used to get a sense of space that is actually available to you. With so many people go to like trying to feel what's light and heavy. With me, the feeling doesn't so much work, rather than getting a sense of space of what two choices will create. It's not so much a feeling for me, rather than a sense of space. And what I notice is like, how many of you are using the light and heavy tool as a preference tool rather than an awareness tool? So many of us like use the light and heavy tool to justify our awareness, or our choices rather than have the awareness of where we'd like to go. And this is what you have to recognize, like the difference between like using light and heavy as a preference rather than an awareness. So everything that is, and everywhere you're using light and heavy, everywhere you've misidentified and misapplied light and heavy as a preference tool rather than an awareness tool, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all names, shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. And everything you've decided you want to know that you don't actually want to know, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all names, shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. So start to ask yourself and play with that. Like if you can't get a sense of what's light and what's heavy, ask yourself, okay, have I already decided what I desire this to be? Am I functioning from preference right now, or am I functioning from awareness? And if I was functioning from awareness, what would I actually choose? Ask yourself, am I willing to know what this choice will create for me? And so this is the thing when we really talk about you already know, you've always known. And I know that like annoys so many people when we talk about like, you already know. It annoys me so much as well. But really, like, I know that the difference is I know that I know. And I know that if I don't have the awareness, that I'm not willing to know right now. So that's where you want to start like having total vulnerability with you and ask, like, do I actually desire to have this awareness? And then the other thing I play with is like, if I choose this, will it create more space? If I choose this, will it contribute to creating the future I'm actually asking for? So I'm just going back to the comments. Could you talk then about self-validation? It pops and I get it's still judgment-based. One, can you say more on that? And two, validation is always based on judgment. If you are looking for validation, you've already eliminated the awareness. Because the thing is as well, like how many of us eliminate our awareness in order to validate like what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. And this is the thing I've noticed that within myself too, since kind of starting a business, it's like there's times where I'm not actually willing to have the awareness because I either want to validate that this choice is right or that I'm wrong. So everywhere you guys have misidentified and misapplied validation as awareness and awareness as validation, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, on good and bad, pod and pork, or name, shorts, boys, povits, and beyonds. And as I mentioned, as long as you're functioning from judgment, you cannot actually have awareness. So in order to actually have total trust in you and have total awareness, you're going to have total allowance. You're going to have to function from that space of allowance because unless you have allowance for the no client showing up, for being stuck, for being confused, for having all these people cancel on classes, you cannot access true choice. You cannot access the choice then to know what's actually available beyond that. And this is what I mean when I mentioned at the start, like, are you willing for things to turn out far greater? Because so many of us, and I noticed myself getting stuck on, oh, okay, people canceling equals, okay, my business is no longer working. Okay, something's bad and wrong. Rather than, wait a second, like what's shifting and changing here? What awareness am I missing? And what I started noticing, and the thing is, like, you cannot have total trust in you and total awareness with control and predictability. And so with my choice to cancel most of my classes in Roma and change the foundation class to a talk to the entities class, there's that space with that choice. It's so easy for me to then go to the automatic response and into my head of like, that's bad, that's wrong, like this means X, Y, and Z, rather than when I really have trust in me, there is this space that has been opened up from that choice. But this is where you have to strengthen that muscle of maybe not so much light and heavy, but actually perceiving this space and then maybe the contraction or the no space that you actually like that actually becomes available or not available with certain choices. And so I'm not sure cognitively what that choice has created. And this is the thing, if you are looking for what that choice creates, if you have to have like the future mapped out and know what a choice is going to create before you'll choose, you'll also cut off total awareness and total knowing. What you want to start really, I guess, focusing in on and prioritizing is this space that a choice creates. And the willingness to go, what would it take to be totally out of control here? And what would it take for me to never have to function from a predictable future? Thank you. You spoke to the energy I was aware of. Amazing. Bad points, poets and beyonds. Auto captions. Amazing. Cool. So the other thing I just wanted to mention with like the preference and awareness tool as well is, which I kind of already have mentioned, is like to start asking yourself, okay, am I functioning from preference or am I functioning from awareness here? When you actually are struggling to get lightness or heavy, or when you're confused or going into your head. Preference will always get you to go into judgment and into your head. Preference will always create the space of head tripping. So when you start head tripping, and if you start head tripping on a choice or anything that's coming up for your business, then I would ask, okay, am I functioning from preference right now? Am I choosing preference over awareness here? So everywhere you guys are using light and heavy to justify your preference, rather than use it to get the awareness of what will create, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, or in shorts, boys, povers, and beyonds. And if I was choosing awareness here, what would I actually choose? So I would start playing with those questions. Start asking the universe, what would it take to be willing to have total trust in me? What does that even look like? Because as I said, we do not have reference points for this. This is going to be like an undoing of everything you've ever learned, everywhere you've always wanted to look outside of you for the answer, everywhere you're not willing to acknowledge what you're actually capable of. And this is the thing when we talk about like actually having trust in you. And with, I think it was Joanna's question, she was like, I struggle to maintain trust. Is it that you struggle to maintain trust? Or is it that you're not willing to acknowledge and receive what you're actually capable of? Is it that you're not willing to actually receive what would actually become available to you that you've not yet chosen? And so what if it's not so much about you guys don't know how to trust you, you guys don't know what's actually going to create more or create a greater future for you, as opposed to you're not actually willing to receive what you're capable of. And if you were willing to receive what you were capable of, if you were willing to actually be totally out of control, if you were willing to never have to have a predictable future, what trust would actually become available to you then? And where are you using not knowing as a way to avoid claiming and only owning what you do know? And everything that is, and all the not knowing you're using to avoid claiming and owning, knowing that you know, and the power of you are choosing, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, or in shorts, boys, povers, and beyonds. So guys, I think we are done for today. If anyone has any other questions in the next 30 seconds or so, let me know. We kind of went all different places, and like it is a massive, massive topic, this one. But start playing with those questions, and really, like, you can't get this right, like, and you can't get it wrong either. Like, what if you can't make a right choice and you can't make a wrong choice, but every choice gifted you more awareness? And really start like recognizing and playing with like everywhere you're not willing to choose something because you're not actually willing to be wrong. And how does it get any better than this? Thank you guys for being here. I'm grateful for you all. I have a call coming up as well in 5 days' time called The Lazy Bitch's Guide to Having Everything You Desire with Ease. And this will be like way more of these kind of conversations, like everything that keeps us truly creating beyond everything we're actually choosing right now. And this is the thing that I noticed, like if you were truly willing to have total trust in you, how much more ease would you actually gain access to? How much more ease would you have to be willing to gain access to to choose to have total trust in you? How much more joy would you have to be willing to gain access to with a choice to have total trust in you? So I'll pop the link in the comments below as well. I'm super excited about the call and I wonder where we can go. Thank you, Sarah. Amazing. And yes, you are free to choose. How does it get any better? Okay, guys, I will see you. Well, I think this was the second live for the month. So next month, as I've just mentioned, I will be in Paris and then in Italy. So my next 2 lives will probably, one, the first one will be in Paris, and 2, the second one will be somewhere in Italy. So how does it get even better? And if you guys have any more questions about this, if there's anything in particular that you guys would really love me to get to as well, just message me or pop it somewhere in the chats or that somewhere for us to find as well. Because I'd really love to make these lives about like what's going on for you guys as well and to create more ease with all of that. So I'm grateful. Have an amazing day and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.